All right.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Dev. I am the associate dean of international admissions here at Reed College. And excited to welcome you all to this session. This session is about understanding financial aid for international students. So I'm really excited to be joined by Karen, who will introduce herself here in just a second. But this session is going to be all about understanding financial aid, and then we will have an opportunity to answer questions at the end. So if you've got questions as we go along, we'll ask that you keep yourself muted, but post those questions in the chat box, and we will get those answered for you. Otherwise, Karen, I will let you take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Karen Garcia. I'm one of the financial aid counselors here at Reed, and I've been at Reed around 5 years. I'm very happy to speak with you tonight about international student financial aid. Um, and yeah, here we go. So we're going to go over today in brief is just the basic definition of financial aid, what the timeline to apply for aid will be, especially in comparison to admission, what kind of financial aid we offer, how to apply, how we determine your financial aid eligibility. So we'll go over the cost of attendance, your friend or family contribution, financial need. We'll talk a little bit about special circumstances, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions as well. So in general, financial aid is defined as funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. So it usually comprises of a few different sources of aid, but financial aid in general is meant to help you pay for, in this case, Reed. And in general, at Reed, financial aid will have very similar timelines to the admission timelines. So if you have trouble remembering some of them, it can be a good way to just associate it with admission, and it'll be the same deadlines for both early decision, early action, early decision two, and then regular decision a little bit later on next year. So what we usually the way that it usually goes is that a student applies for admission, then usually around the same time they apply for financial aid. And then once a student is admitted for admission, they then receive a financial aid award later. So the communications do not come at the same time. You'll find out about your admission decision first, and then within a few weeks after, or a few days, depending on the cycle that you're applying under, you will receive your financial aid notification, letting you know what you're eligible for just the first year. There are three main different types of financial aid that's offered at Reed and as part of a financial aid package. It consists of loans, grants, and work, and all of that together is comprises your entire offer of financial aid. So we'll talk about the first one, which is grants. And this is money that does not need to be repaid. So we call it also gift aid, and that essentially it's money just to help you pay for school. It's not a loan or anything like that, and it's awarded on the basis of your financial need. So what we mean by that is we look at the information that you list on your financial aid application. It'll ask questions about your family's income, your family's assets, savings, things like that. Also, your own information, so your own income, your own assets, your own savings. And we will determine how much your family is able to pay. And then the remainder of that, we will meet with a combination of aid, and one of those factors is grants. So we often will call this need-based aid. On the website, you'll see that language a lot. In the emails that you receive, that's what it'll be called. But all of Reed's financial aid is based on need. So really the distinction is there so you understand that it comes from the information put on your applications, but that'll be the case for everything that is related to financial aid at Reed. So grants are usually going to make up the majority of a student's financial aid package if eligible. And once again, it is gift aid. Sometimes students will call something resembling a grant a scholarship, and I think it's key to determine that Reed doesn't have scholarships, we have grants. It's a similar concept in that it's gift aid, but it is different terminology. Then there is the Reed loan, which is money that is offered to students as part of their financial aid package to help pay their educational expenses. Repayment begins 9 months after education is finished. And this is offered by Reed College itself. So that's who your loan servicer would be, and that's who you would owe the money to. For international students, this loan has a fixed interest rate, and it will not accrue interest during the time that you're in school, and it's not based on credit. So it is included in all aid offers, regardless of the information on your aid applications. It is a component that we use to meet need, so it'll be included in every single person's aid offer. It is not mandatory for you to accept this REIT loan, but it is a component of your aid offer, and we cannot replace this loan offer with grant funds or other funds in order to replace it. So if you choose not to take it, you can always pay the remainder some other way, but we cannot replace it with grant funds. And the last piece is employment. So this is often called work study. And this allows students to work and earn money on campus to help pay for their educational costs or personal costs. And the way that this money is awarded is just like it is in any regular job. So you would have to apply for a position on campus, interview, do the whole thing. And then once you're hired and you complete a timesheet, you would get paid through a regular paycheck. So either a check would be made out to you or it would be deposited to your bank account. And these funds are yours to do with whatever you like. So you can put them towards educational expenses, you can use them for personal expenses, but essentially this is just like a regular job. And work study helps give you priority during the hiring process. So our hope is that if an employer is trying to hire students, they will prioritize the students that have a work study award as part of their package over the ones that do not. So we just briefly went over the three main sources of financial aid, and now we're going to talk about how we actually apply. So it is very important that when you're applying for admission, there's going to be a couple of questions at the end of your application that ask you about financial aid. It's not the application for financial aid itself, but it does inform some information later on. So it's very important that on your admission application, you indicate that you do intend to apply for financial aid. Applicants who say that they do not intend to apply for financial aid on their admission application are not eligible to then apply in later years, even if their circumstances change or something is different in your family situation. So this is why we really stress that if you think that you will need financial assistance, even if you just even if you think you might just need a little bit, or you suspect that maybe this year you might not need anything, but maybe in the future your family situation might change. It is really important for you to indicate yes on the financial aid question on your admission application, so that way we can consider you this year and then for further years. The second piece is to actually submit the financial aid application to us. So our main application for financial aid is called CSS Profile. And that stands for College Scholarship Service, and it is submitted through the College Board, a third-party company that we work with to host this application. So this is the main application that we will use to assess your eligibility for READ grant, for we just talked about a little bit earlier, the READ loan, work study, things like that. And it's completed all online. It'll be available starting October 1st. So usually it's a good idea to, I would say, to submit your admission application before you submit the CSS profile. So that way everything just flows smoothly. And when you're checking on your materials on your checklist, you'll be able to see it updated a little bit more smoothly than waiting. And international aid applicants are not required to submit a CSS profile for their non-custodial parents should your parents be divorced or separated. So some schools will require two separate applications, one for the parent that you mostly live with, so your custodial parent, and then a second one for the parent you spend less time with, otherwise known as your non-custodial parent. At Reed, we only require one application, so only a custodial parent application, and we do not require subsequent documents. So we don't require tax documents or salary or wage documents from your family. So don't worry about submitting any of those. I know that sometimes there's concern about getting them translated or getting them notarized or something like that. So you don't have to worry about that with us. Just the main CSS profile application is great, and that's all that we need. So this application will ask for a lot of information about your family, mostly regarding your family's expenses, your family's income, and there is a cost associated with submitting this application. So it'll be $25 for the initial application. So let's say that you're only applying to one school, Reed, that requires a CSS profile. It would be $25. And then let's say that you're applying to a few schools that require it. It would be $25 for the initial school and then $16 for each additional school that you add to your list. So there is a cost associated with this, which leads me to my next point, in that we do not offer a fee payment code for students that have a hard time paying for this application. We have a different alternative application that we can use. So if that's the case for you or your family, and $25 or $16 pose a barrier to submitting your application, please reach out to our office at financial.aid@reed.edu, and we'll chat with you about our other option, which is the ISFA, the International Student Financial Aid Application. And although our preferred application is the CSS profile, we also accept this as an alternative. Please do not submit both. Either or is great. And really only the students who cannot afford the CSS profile fee normally should submit this other application. It'll ask very similar questions. And the biggest difference is that it'll be submitted directly to us instead of the College Board. And that application will also be available October 1st. If you think you do want to inquire about this option, I would ask that you please submit your admission application first, as we'll only be able to open it to students who have already applied for admission. Otherwise, we'll have to ask you to apply first and then reach back out to us once you have, and we'll open the application for you then. Which leads us into deadlines. So the first deadline for both admission and financial aid will be the early decision deadline. So it'll be November 1st. And obviously that's the first one. The one that followed was early decision to December 20th, and then regular decision on January 15th. Transfer students, you have a little extra time, and the deadline for that is March 1st. So this is generally how it'll go. If you do have a problem with the application, something's going wrong, something's lagging, or you're just having trouble, just reach out to our office and we may be able to extend the time a little bit. But we do ask you communicate with us and kind of let us know where you're at in the process. So just keep us in the loop, and we'll be able to figure it out. Some of you may be asking yourselves, how do we determine your financial aid eligibility? And the way that we do this is by looking at the cost of attendance. So what it costs to attend Reed. This includes tuition, fees, room and board, incidentals, travel, things like that. So we look at that first, and then from your applications, we assess how much your family is able to contribute. And then the difference between those two costs will result in your overall financial need, which will then meet with financial aid. So a mix of grants, work study, and loans. That's generally how it works. The cost of attendance is made up of direct costs and indirect costs. So direct costs are what you'll actually see on your bill. When you come to Reed, you'll be sent a bill by the business office, and these are the charges that you're responsible for paying. So this includes tuition, fees, your dorm room, and your meal plan of living on campus. All students at Reed are required to live on campus for the first 2 years. So that's going to be a pretty standard cost. And then the indirect costs are included in the cost of attendance, but you're not charged for them directly. So we understand that you'll still have to pay for books, supplies, transportation, personal expenses, things like that, but they're not going to be a part of your bill from the business office. So we'll include it in the cost of attendance to be able to account for those costs, but you won't actually owe them directly to Reed. And your cost of attendance will vary widely from college to college. So Reed's cost of attendance will look very different from maybe a school in California or a public school or a community college. It can really, really vary. So it's important to look at the cost of attendance for your specific colleges that you're applying to, in this case, Reed. Your family contribution is a measurement of the student and your family's ability to pay for college, essentially. So we understand that for most students, income or assets are likely not going to be very high, but that's okay. Please just still include whatever is accurate for you on your admission and on your financial aid applications. And then we will take that alongside with your parent contribution, and that'll make the overall family contribution, which is you and your family together. In general, most students that apply to Reed under the age of 26 will be considered dependent students. So students that have to include their family information on the applications. If you have a different circumstance, please reach out to us and we'll be able to better guide you as to what information you have to include. But that's generally how it'll go for the vast majority of students. Then kind of going along with what I was saying about cost of attendance varying a lot from school to school, so will the financial need. So a private college like Reed will have a higher cost of attendance on average than a four-year public college or a community college. And even if your family's contribution is the same for all these different colleges, the amount of financial need that you derive based on that higher cost of attendance, higher or lower cost of attendance, will also influence the amount of needs that you're determined to have, if that makes sense. So it really depends on the schools that you're applying to, and then obviously on your family contribution, but it will vary a lot by the institutions that you're looking at. So let's say that you're admitted to Reed and you're then wondering, what comes next? What kind of financial aid am I eligible for? You will receive a financial aid award, sometimes referred to as a package or notification as well. Those are pretty much all interchangeable. And that'll include all of the different types and amount of aid that you qualify for. So at Reed, this will usually be determined after your admission application, and it really will depend, the amount of time that you have to wait to receive this information will really depend on whether you're applying for early action, early decision 2, or regular decision. So it'll always come after, but the amount of time you have to wait will vary. And it'll be sent to you primarily via email. So please check your email inboxes. We'll send you a lot of good information there, but very valuable information as well as the financial aid information is concerned. So please check. And this will include most of what you're eligible for at once. Once you receive this notification, please take a look at it with care. Let us know if you have any questions. Our staff is always available to meet with students via Zoom, on the phone, via email. And we're always available to talk about any questions you might have regarding the amounts that you're eligible for, or what it means, or what, with that information considered, is the amount that you will probably end up owing if you do come to Reed. So once you receive that, please take a look at it, reach out to us with any questions you may have, and we'll be happy to break it down for you and explain anything that needs to be explained. So we've reached the end of the presentation. I'll stop now and see if there's any questions that anybody has. I know that was a lot of information, so please just let us know. All right, let's see. It looks like we have some in the chat. Does anybody have any questions? If it's easier, feel free to also unmute. If it's easier to just talk it out, feel free to do that. Whatever is easier makes you more comfortable. And you know what, even if you don't have a lot of questions right now, because it's a little bit early, that's okay. If those come later, like I said, just please reach out to our office via email or set up a meeting with us. We're happy to chat with you and meet whenever you like, even if you don't have any questions right this minute. Are financial aid documents required after admission? No, they are not. So it really will be mainly the financial aid CSS profile application that we use. If we have any questions about the information on the application, we may reach out to you and ask for clarification. So that is something that may happen, but it is not a requirement to submit bank statements, certification of finances. I know some schools ask for that. We do not require that, or anything additional from you or your family. So don't worry about that. We'll just wait for us to reach out to you if we do need any further clarification.
The only thing I will add to that point is you may need to submit you will need to submit a document called a certificate of finances in order to obtain your visa.
Mm.
But we
Oh,
won't
yes.
need that until much later. So not something you have to worry about when you're applying to read, but if you are admitted and you do
Mhm.
decide to come to read, you will then submit a deposit, and then that will initiate the I-20 process. The I-20 is a document that you need in order to secure a visa. Our International Student Services Office manages that process, so you'll hear a lot from them at that point. And they will require a certificate of finances where they will most likely ask for some additional documents. They're not meant for financial aid. They are meant for the visa process. So,
Mhm.
um, but none of that you need at the time of application. So that's something we'll worry about much later down the road. First, you have to be admitted. So that'll come much later.
That's a really good point, Dev. And I know that sometimes, along with that kind of question, students will ask, I don't have enough funds to cover my tuition, and sometimes that's a question when filling out the financial aid application. So on your financial aid application, please accurately reflect what your family makes and your family's assets. If you are admitted and you're presented with a financial aid package, um, then that's later on when during the certificate of finances process where you would list your sources of income for the visa, but that would include read financial aid as well. So all that to say is please just fill out the applications with the accurate information, and then the other stuff for visa purposes and to come will come a lot later. Yeah, no problem. Hi, Carl. Is there a minimum expected family contribution requirement for international students to be considered for financial aid? So there's no minimum amount that your family has to essentially display, or minimum amount of income they have to show. But all students do have a $2,000 minimum student contribution once they are admitted to read. So that is money that we, for example, expect a student to make maybe during on-campus work, things like that. So there is a $2,000 minimum student contribution overall, but it is not one that you have to demonstrate that your family can pay from their income. It's something that we will include as part of your financial aid package. I hope that answered your question. Please let me know if you need clarification.
Any other questions? Okie dokie. Well, a huge thank you to Karen for joining us and providing that great presentation about financial aid. Oh, looks like there's one more question. Sorry.
Okay. Do we know what the average financial aid package for financial aid students is, international students is? That is a good question. Because your financial aid is based on your unique family situation, it really can vary a lot from student to student. That's why it's hard to really say an average because it is so dependent on your specific family situation. So there's not a very clear answer on that, unfortunately, but I would just say we meet your demonstrated need. And depending on your family's level of income or assets or the information that we receive on the financial aid application, your level of need may be different from a different student's level of need. So it's very personalized.
Great. Anyone else? Okie dokie. Well, once again, thank you so much, Karen, for joining us and giving us that presentation. For the students in the room, thank you so much for attending the session. I hope it was helpful and beneficial. Like Karen mentioned, if you do think of other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. It's financial.aid@reed.edu is the email address. Karen, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Karen put the link in the chat box to how you can access the contact information.
Mhm.
Uh, and otherwise, we're looking forward to reading your applications. And I will wish you all a great rest of your day.
Yes, thank you very much, Deb. I put that link in there. Feel free to schedule an appointment with us. Don't be shy. If you have any confusion at all during the application process, just let us know. We're here to help. And yeah, I wish everybody luck and just let us know if we can be of further help in the future. Okay.
Thank you.